Yeah, yeah. And it's the freedom of Joyce.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Tere Joyce.
Oh, welcome to Freedom of Joyce Show on Revolution Radio. Thank you very much for listening to the show. And, we have I'm excited about this show. I think it's going to be a great topic that we have coming up. We're going to explore the differences between Western medicine and holistic medicine with my guest, Chris Kehler, who probably a lot of the listeners out there have listened to him before and maybe even be familiar with some of his work that he does, some of his healing work. Chris, I'm going to read your bio. You know what? I had the weirdest thing. I have, I get those little dollar glasses at the dollar show, and last night I sat on my side glasses, and I just broke it, and I had like a piece of tape holding it together. Maybe you could do something to help my eyesight. But I'm gonna bring my broken glass up here while I read this for a moment. I have the lowest form of magnification, by the way, still. But all right. Chris Kehler is you are a quantum energy healer who uses the pendulum and chart method of dowsing to diagnose any health problems. Chris works within the physical and spiritual aspects of what is causing your health issues, and Chris is the owner of Chris Kehler Holistic and Quantum Point Technologies in Winnipeg, Canada. So, welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Terry. Good to be on again.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I actually interviewed you the first time on Hollywood Hemtress Hour, and but I think this is more of a realistic hour, isn't it?
Well, we had some fun, didn't we?
Yeah, that was my hosts were a little bit randy. All right, so the first thing was I want to ask you, Chris, is how did you get into this into quantum healing?
The whole thing started about 7 years ago. 8 years ago, my first wife passed away. She had a rare disease called scleroderma. And within that time, I was in the printing industry. So I spent the last, first 28 years of working in the printing industry, which I loved a lot. I was in major management at my local newspaper. And when she passed away, it enabled me to retire. So at 46 years old, I retired. And the old saying goes, one door closes, another door opens. I fell into this whole world of alternative health by meeting certain people who do it. I took a real shining to it. It just really attracted me. And I just kept on going forward with it, finding all these things coming towards me, different courses, different things, different sacred geometry items, different ways of using psychic energies to help a person with a health problem. And within 1 year, it brought me to this point where I was now having people knocking at my door, calling me on the phone. Can you help me with my diabetes? Can you help me with my asthma? And I just looked at it as an opportunity to start it as a business and to really help people and to, of course, make a living of it. Now, I've been in my office here in Winnipeg for going on 5 years. Things are just getting better and stronger, and I'm able to help people at such deep levels with certain problems, and it's working. We're having fun, and people are just benefiting so much from it.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I did listen to you, when you were on Roxy Lopez's show, and I found it interesting about. Well, we'll get more into that, but the different reasons why somebody might be sick, which are not necessarily, like from bacteria or from a virus or whatever, but that you talk about spiritual and entity health problems. problems, voodoo, witchcraft, and black magic, soul issues. These are kind of areas that, normally you don't think about in terms of illness in Western medicine. Can you give us a little bit more background on what those things are and what do you do for it?
Yeah, it gets pretty deep to understanding the whole spiritual aspect of a health problem. So let's take things like voodoo, black magic, witchcraft. They're all kind of the same thing. Everybody's heard the term voodoo, and the first thing you think about is somebody taking pins and sticking it into a doll. And voodoo can be as simple as somebody with a negative thought about you. So if somebody is jealous of you, somebody doesn't like you, you've done something wrong to somebody, if this person keeps on thinking negatively about you, talking behind your back and that type of thing, thoughts are energy. If it's negative thought, it's negative energy, and because they're talking about you at the quantum level through quantum entanglement, it is going to affect you in a form that's going to cause your vibration to lower, and it's going to be a contributor to a health problem. So all of this type of negative thoughts, negative energies can definitely cause or be a contributor to a health problem. Whenever I work on somebody with any kind of health problem, I always find the spiritual concept of the health problem and the physical. So the spiritual part does have to be addressed. I'm going to give you a case in point. We're going to get right deep into this and open some people's eyes right now. Yesterday I had a client come into my office. For years, many years, she's been suffering with pain in her abdomen. So the doctors took out her uterus, then they took out her gallbladder, then they did this surgery and that surgery. The pain never went away. She came into my office, I took my pendulum out, I asked my guides a question, and the answer that came up is that she has Lucifer within her body. Okay? That makes you like, whoa, 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 what's going on here? Lucifer is a negative energy that we've all, talk about. We give it energy by talking about it all the time, and we see it in different aspects of our lives. So what I do is I use intent. Intent is incredibly strong. So I use a pyramid that I've developed. I held this pyramid over her head, told Lucifer it's time to leave, told him to go. All of a sudden her pain went away. Now, her head did not spin around 360. She did not puke out green stuff. That's for the movies. But her pain did go away. So the spiritual component of a health problem is something that really needs to be addressed in order for a health problem to go away, because no matter what pill she took, what surgery they did, this problem would not go away unless you dealt with the spiritual aspect. So then you go after the physical aspect, which could be a buildup of calcium, it could be parasites, bacteria, virus. In her case, it was all a spiritual component.
Wow. I mean, the fact that you're mentioning about people thinking, negative thoughts, and I'm going back to like the negative thought aspect of it. Negative thoughts about you, that it could actually really affect you physically, is for some reason that kind of stands out to me. I feel like, especially when you're in the entertainment business, some people get really selfish and jealous, and or whatever. There's like there's things that happen where there's conflicts and things like that, and I've often wondered what I know that during that time, if I do feel like attacked for some reason within whatever, I have had some physical situations where there's been like lack of energy and maybe just an overall depression or just an overall feeling of malaise. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
yes.
Yeah, and so I can really see it, and I guess it's important to be mindful of what you say about other people, because you were also directing that energy outward to others that you might really care about.
Correct. Let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic. The first instinct is to put up your middle finger and say, F you, buddy. Best thing to do is just say, bless you. What's it going to difference is it going to make if you say bless you or F you? Well, of course, whatever you send to a person is going to reflect back at you. So you don't want to be putting negative energy on yourself by being negative towards somebody else.
Dino, do you have a question that you would, or do you have a response or a comment on this particular aspect? Hello?
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. I shut off my microphone so you don't hear me farting in between your segments. I apologize. Chris is absolutely right. Your mental condition and your physical health is completely connected to your mental state and your mental health, and he's absolutely right about that. And what he's doing is fantastic, and it's very important. And if we have a minute, I can get into, what I've talked about with you about, the origins of medicine and where medicine is today.
Sure. Sure. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of things that I want to mention. And, Chris was talking about these things. When medicine started, 100, 150 years ago in America, there was two different types of doctors. There was the holistic healer that did natural medicine, and then there was the physical doctor. Years later, when they started medical schools that was funded by, the major contributors that were making pharmaceuticals, they kind of dismissed the holistic healers because they couldn't make money off of them. They thought they could make a ton of money, so they trained all doctors today to push pharmaceuticals. Isn't that right, Chris? Just
you're 100% right.
Push the pharmaceuticals, and they actually made it illegal for the holistic healers and only licensed the physical doctors because they can train them in their facilities like Johns Hopkins and many other places that are contributed by these wealthy people that are making money off the pharmaceuticals. So that's the origins of our medical practice in this country, and they got rid of all the other healing, the spiritual healers, and the people they couldn't make money off of. Now, I wanted to say, and I want you to back me up on this, Chris, if I had cancer today, the last thing I would ever let them do is chemotherapy and radiation. This is, technology from 100 years ago. 100 years ago, when cancer started appearing in our country, which it didn't before that, really. Like you said, you're absolutely right. Cancer is a moneymaker today, and they're putting it upon us. And, it's extremely prevalent today, and more so, and it's increasing, and it shouldn't be. It's all the chemicals that are, we're being exposed to. And the main point I want to make, and I want everybody to understand, and I want Chris to back me up on this, is that the pharmaceutical companies today are not making pills or funding research that cure diseases. What they're doing is making pills that will counteract the side effect of those diseases. Like, I have diabetes, and they don't make a pill, and they'll never make a pill to cure my diabetes, because then they can't sell me something next week. What they're selling me is, side effects are, high blood pressure, and they sell me a pill that I have to take every week that to counteract the side effects of my disease. They will never make a pill to cure the disease. What they're making money off of is selling you a pill every single week. And I talk to these pharmaceutical companies, people. There's a lot of them that live around here. There's different places like Pfizer and companies that make these mass pharmaceuticals, and they make a ton of money off of them. They make these pills, for 8 cents and sell them for $8, sometimes, $10 a piece. And they always say they don't make any money off of it because of all the research that they have to put into it. But my philosophy is, I don't know if I got into this, I would never, ever let them cut into me, radiate me and put poisons in my body. These 3 treatments have been around for 100 years, and they have not changed at all. There's only 3 courses of, curing your cancer. Number 1 is radiation therapy, which they beam these waves into you. It's like literally they might as well shoot a bullet through you saying, okay, we're going to try to hit a few cancer cells on the way. And the second is chemotherapy, where they put poisons into your body hoping to get a few cancer cells. And third is surgery. The surgery is just cutting you open and cutting pieces out of you. It's the same thing they did 100 years ago. And they have no new methods of curing cancer today. You understand what I'm saying, Tere?
Yes, there are people that, swear by that, the Western doctor has all the answers, and this is the only way of treating a disease. And, we live in a system that, nearly persecutes you if you decide to do something different. There's always been those court cases where, a family wanted to, give their child an alternative treatment. I mean, there's one going on right now where, there's a little boy that has leukemia, and, it went into remission giving the little boy cannabis, and, they're having a big law thing over him, and there's a petition that's being circulated. I mean, it's like, in anything that isn't within the power of the structure. What do you think about this, Chris?
Oh, you're absolutely right on all points. That there is no money in the cure. I've got a close family relative who heads up a cancer research foundation in San Diego. I work on cancer. The discussions we have back and forth at Christmas time are pretty big at times. But ultimately, yes, there's no cure, no money in the cure. People are brainwashed that you have to do this way. You have to use Western medicine. You have to use allopathic medicine in order to treat something. Like you said, Dino, there is no cure for diabetes. How come I've taken 15 people, done 15 different treatments, and now their blood sugars are normal? There is a cure for everybody's diabetes, not diabetes in general, but for your individual diabetes there is. But you just can't take a pill and make it to cure everybody. It's just not going to happen.
Want to make a pill?
No,
of course not. That would cure the disease, and then they couldn't sell me. You should see the stack of pills they have me buying every week, and it's extremely expensive for all the side effects that diabetes give me. If they made a pill that would cure diabetes or cancer, it would be a money loser for them. They're not researching that. Like I said before, and I'll get off my soapbox, the pharmaceutical companies are not making pills to cure you, to heal your diseases. They're making pills that they could sell you over and over again. Isn't that true, Chris?
That's correct. Now, we're going to relate this back to what Tere was talking about before in the monologue, and that is the fracking energy. So there's no money in free energy. Now, if you look back to the 1900s, Nikola Tesla, who's one of my spirit guides, by the way, he developed a way for free electricity. All you got to do is plug into it. You have a receiver in your house, and you're going to get free electricity. Well, of course, I think it was Merrill Lynch. I forget who it was at the time. Kiboshed it and wouldn't give them the money to develop it, and they just squashed it all. Now, there's another technology that is here right now, and there are a lot of companies in Europe that are using it. It's magnet technology.
I've been hearing about this.
Yeah. If you go on the internet, there's a company called Bedini, the Bedini motor, and it uses magnets that run a wheel that charges batteries so that you can have free electricity. There's magnet-driven motors that will use the repellence of magnets that'll spin a motor and charge your home. It is here. It is being used, but nobody wants to talk about it. How many people have ever heard about in Iceland that all their banks went bankrupt?
Yeah.
Who's ever heard of that? Nobody. No, that's because the governments don't want anybody to know what happened. So what happened is all the banks went bankrupt, and everybody in Iceland got a credit card to use and rebuilt the economy, and now they're doing perfectly fine. So the governments don't want you to hear about all this. They don't want you to hear that there are ways to cure diseases and illness. How many doctors do you go to and they'll check your nutrition? They will not check your nutrition. I bet you that if everybody's nutrition was balanced, all the minerals and vitamins and all the nutrition that you need was perfectly balanced, health problems would be so minimal it wouldn't even be funny. Things like potassium. If your potassium is low, you got a heart problem. If your sodium is high, you've got a muscle problem. There's so many different aspects to nutrition that are involved, but the doctors won't even consider it. They won't even say, go see a nutritionist.
Wow. Yeah. No,
Chris, to go into that, if I can interrupt here, it's very important what you talked about in Iceland, but, the story behind that is the bankers really stole all the money from the country, and the people rose up and said, this is ridiculous. In this country, we bail them out. In Iceland, they threw them all in jail, and they neutralized, that's important. The bankers really stole their economy and made billions off them. And then they saw that it was all a fraud and threw all the bankers in jail. And that's what we should do here today.
Exactly.
And, have you heard the theory about Nikola Tesla was killed because he was giving away free energy, and the energy company, electric companies want to sell people electricity? Have you heard that theory?
He told me that.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And what you're saying, alternative energy is very important today.
I just want to take a moment here. There's some comments in the chat room. Somebody said the medical industry follows the oil industry's plan. I find that interesting that they are putting a correlation between medical industry and oil industry. But I guess they all kind of are. And someone else wrote a monopoly of tyranny. Just throwing out that. Also, if you are in the chat line and you do have any questions for us, please do let us know. We'd be more than happy to incorporate them in the show, as well as we are going to take some calls in the second hour at 347-688-2902. We'd love to hear from you. And, we're going to do a little bit of in the second hour as well, a healing for people, which I'm really excited to actually do in the next hour. I kind of want to refocus on also for a moment before we do go to a break. One of your work, Chris. You also mentioned about working with voodoo, witchcraft, and black magic situations, and that kind of stuff always puts me out. It's like, oh, don't make those guys mad. They're going to cut off a chicken's head and do something to me. You know what I mean? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, again, it's a negative component to what's causing a health problem, and like I said, that there is the aspect of somebody just having a negative thought. Now, there are people who actually are dark, and they use black magic to put a spell on somebody and to make their life miserable. I have a client in Florida who is plagued by this one dark witch who had 15 babies from 15 different men, used 3 of the babies for sacrifices. That's how deep and dark she is.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It goes much, much deeper and darker than that. If you consider the work that I do to heal people as white magic, of course, there's people who can do black magic. So you can take this quantum consciousness that is all around us and use it to whatever you want to use it for. It's quantum consciousness. It'll do something for you if you know how to use it, if you know how to harness it, and know how to direct it. Once you have this type of knowledge, it's almost like a forbidden knowledge that if you knew how to use this, boy, we would be in a lot of trouble. But if you use it in the right way, it can do so much good. It can do incredibly good. There are lots of people all over the planet who take this consciousness and try to make changes in what's happening with the wars and famine and poverty and the whole thing. But when it comes right down to the voodoo, black magic, and witchcraft, it does all exist. It is a very big factor in what's going on in our lives at many, many different levels. It can affect your law of attraction. It can affect your mental way of thinking. It can affect the way you're physical. So many different aspects of it. Here's another quick analogy. If you're in a relationship and that relationship breaks up and it's kind of a bad breakup, and let's say that the female of the relationship doesn't want the male to be with anybody else in bed, well, she's going to be thinking about that to the point where all of a sudden this guy's impotent. All of a sudden things aren't working as well as they're supposed to. So and I've worked with that with people on different levels, and it does make a difference. You change the energy within a person at that aspect, and all of a sudden now they're having a good time. But it can get to that level, yes.
Well, I do, again, from what I understand, magic is not really good or bad. It's the intent behind what you're doing, and that it does exist in our universe, and again, it's played out through all of our film and television and our stories throughout the history of time. So it's good to know. Like, let's say. What's some good things for me, like for a person to practice, like let's say for protection, and so that we can.
For protection, the best thing that you can do is envision that you're in a sphere of a mirror. So there's a ball of mirror around you with the reflective side on the outside. That way, if somebody sends you negative energy, it'll reflect right back at them. That's probably the best thing to do. There's a lot of other things to do, like calling in violet light and the violet scepter, all these different heavenly types of energies. They do have some energy to them. So God's love and white light is very strong. Highest harmonic gold light. Just by calling these in and intending that they're within your aura and within your energy and your body, they are going to do specific things to help protect you.
Wonderful. We'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce. Dino says for protection, use a condom and a gun. We'll be back.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drink themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out.
Not me.
Get it done.
That would be me, Wild Bill Samsel, your host of the Samsel Report. Join me for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup every Saturday night, right here on Revolution Radio.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back to Freedom of Joyce show on Revolution Radio, and we are just so if this is the second hour of the show. If you would like to give us a call in to have any questions for my guest Chris Kehler or myself, please do give us a call at 347-688-2902, and also if you have any questions in the chat line, I am also here with you. Today I'm underneath Tere, Tere. That's me. So if you would like to have anything, I'll be more than part of making the show interactive. Chris, where can our listeners find you at?
My website is chriskehler.net. It's spelled ChrisKehler.net. Don't do chriskehler.com. That's a different Chris Kehler. I think he's an accountant or something like that. So chriskehler.net is the website. I also have about 100 different videos on YouTube that describe the work I do, my philosophies, and all different types of aspects of what I do within my crazy little realm here. So you can feel free and check those out too.
Great. That's wonderful. And you know what? I realize I'm still calling it Kehler when it's Kehler.
Not to worry.
I got it now. You know, I'm better than my mother, though. My mother just absolutely renames people, but she gets the right consonant right. You know, so you would be, Cameron or something when you're actually Chris, and I go, and I'd say, you know, Chris, and she'd go, who? And I go, Cameron. She goes, oh, okay. So sometimes I feel that I'm turning into her. You know how we turn into our parents after a few years, you know. All right, you know, I wanted to ask you, another question here, Chris.
Please.
Soul issues. Now, I find that to be interesting. What is like you say that someone might be sick because they have soul issues. What is that exactly? A soul issue?
What I've found, and when I'm doing my work, I use my pendulum, and I have spirit guides that work with me that give me this information. So they will tell me what to do for certain aspects of certain problems. So what I have found that people who suffer through a lot of depression, a lot of low points in their life, and just can't seem to get themselves out of a funk, what I do with them is I'll work within their soul. And it sounds kind of far out there, and in all reality it is, but for me it's not such a big deal. So what I'll do with their soul is I'll reconnect it. Now there's an area within our body in the hypothalamus. All the glands and organs within our body, they hold a specific energy other than just the functionality of making our bodies produce hormones. So in the hypothalamus, there's an area called the Well of Souls. Now, we can all remember this from the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indiana Jones is looking in the map room for the Well of Souls. This is an area where your soul is connected, and then the hypothalamus connects with the universe. So what I do is I reconnect it there, and then I'm going to reconnect the person to their soul on an energy level, and this seems to really pull people out of depressions and help things to progress. And I explain this as almost a grounding issue, where you're not grounded with the universe like we're supposed to be grounded with the earth, and that's another issue. But when you ground the soul with the universe, it really tends to pull people out of these depressions, and then that opens the door to go into the physical aspects of, you know, is there a mineral deficiency? Is there something going on with the nervous system that we need to work with? So when I work with the soul, that's generally what I do. I don't give people new souls or transform them into the soul of a saint or nothing like that. You can't do that, okay? Just by making the connections, just by clearing out the connections of negative energy, it does make that much of a difference.
I never even thought about wanting to be a different soul than you actually really are, you know? I mean, just the concept of that is kind of that somebody would go, hey, can you make me a saint?
You got to make yourself a saint. A lot of people confuse the soul and personality. Those are kind of two different things on different levels. Your personality is something completely different than your soul.
Huh. That's well, I mean, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to realize, because I don't know. Do you think the personality is the ego self, or is that intertwined, or you know what? I mean, how connected is your personality to your actual soul? Is what I'm kind of curious about.
The personality is made up of a lot of different things, and of course there's a lot of genetics involved with, you know, do you have your parents' personality on certain levels, but there's a lot of things that fill the void of the personality that make it up. So, you know, there's a lot of environmental involved, your you know, where you're raised, and a lot of different things that make up your personality. So the soul does have some effect on it, of course. And also your ego is a very big part of it, and a lot of your energetic makeup does get involved with it.
So, to my and it seems like, I mean, again, and this is right here, like a lot of us are caught up with being into the physical body, the physical, like what's physical, it's only physical, there's no other bodies, no etheric bodies going on. What are the various body, different, what is connected to us outside of our body? How does that energetic field work?
Oh, you know what, it does get pretty vast. Now, certain modalities such as Reiki and different modalities like that will teach you that there's maybe 8 or 10 different etheric bodies. I work within about 50 to 75 different etheric bodies. I consider our law of attraction as part of the etheric body. There's the dark matter in the aura is an etheric body. One of the biggest ones that I've been working with lately is it's called the epigenomic field, and there's a lot of research being done right now within epigenetics. So working within the DNA at a certain level. The way I like to describe it is if you take the DNA and consider it the structure of a house, the epigenetics or the epigenome is more the wallpaper and the paint and the paintings. All that could be changed to affect the DNA. So if you work at that level, you can actually make DNA changes. So there's a field within our aura called the epigenomic field that I work in quite often. There's different levels of consciousness. There's our love consciousness, there's our physical consciousness, fifth dimension consciousness, which is, something happening this weekend apparently. So there's things like the time matrix or all these different areas. And then of course is the emotional body, the physical body, the mental bodies that play parts within our physical makeup. The best way to describe what these things all really do, okay? If you consider somebody who has phantom pain, somebody has lost their leg in an accident, but they still have pain in their foot that does not exist. How can you still have pain in your foot when it's not there? That's because that foot, that leg still exists within the etheric bodies within your aura. So your body reads off of that for energy. So your body, your physical body still thinks that foot and that leg is still there. So it's still going to register and recognize the pain.
Oh, that's why that happens.
Yes.
Interesting. Because I've heard of that, and and there's people that say, well, I feel my leg or I have feeling down there as if it exists, and that would make sense.
Yeah, and it really does exist in the etheric realm. So a person can have, let's say, the symptoms of cancer, but there's no cancer. The doctors can look and look and look and look, and there's nothing there because there isn't. But it does exist in the etheric realm of your body, and eventually it makes its way through all the layers and gets to the physical, and then it manifests.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Now, if let's say, this is probably going to seem like a strange question, but this is where my head is going. I have a question. Let's say that your leg exists in the etheric field, but it doesn't exist in the physical field. Do you think that we'll get to a point where we can create our leg back out of the etheric field?
That's a pretty deep question. Because of what I do, I'm not going to say no. But I'm going to say.
You're not going to put it on your website.
Now hold on. Let's kind of put things in perspective. Now I have worked with people who have had nerve injuries done through surgery on their back or something like that, where the nerve is cut, and I have regrown that part of the nerve, so now they get the feeling back in their leg.
Oh, wow.
So that the answer is of course anything is possible, but to actually regrow a full leg, that would take a lot of work and a lot of time for it to happen. So, it's never been done yet. It's never been tried yet. So all we can do is say maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, theoretically, you're it makes me wonder because, you hear about, and again, some people don't believe this is true, and some, I have definitely filed it under the interesting category. I have my own opinion that I do think it is true, and, I don't know for sure, but, they talk about people who are, reptilian or they can shapeshift, and one of the reasons why they can shapeshift is because of, their DNA or the connection to the ethereal body. So, right. And that's how, that the physical is malleable, and it's not necessarily, again, there's a wave is a particle is a wave.
Sure.
Kind of theory. Again, though, we're talking about, having abilities beyond what we've ever witnessed before, anybody's ever witnessed. But I'm kind of curious if there's going to eventually be some sort of technology that we can interface with that might be a future possibility in the future. It's just a thought.
You have to figure, yes, anything's possible. A reptile can regrow its tail. A starfish can regrow an arm. So, of course, there's got to be something to do eventually with regrowing a body part. And that's got to be done within our DNA. So, possibly. Who knows?
Yeah. Huh. Now, what is exactly quantum healing?
The word quantum, okay, let's define that. The word quantum means the smallest measurable amount of something. So the energy, the smallest measurable amount, which is a light particle. So light particles, or a photon, they do have consciousness. There's some videos on YouTube. I think the guy's name is Dr. Quantum, and he uses a form of a cartoon to illustrate how quantum theory works with the double slit method of using photons. So you can go onto YouTube and find Dr. Quantum, and that's really going to show you and open your eyes a bit as to how it really works. So quantum energy, the smallest measurable amount of energy, light photons, contain consciousness. So when you are able to access the consciousness, or at least get its attention, and get it to do something, and it says, okay, I'll go in and do whatever you want me to do, it goes into the body, and you intend to remove a virus from the pancreas. All you do is use the tools. For a lot of people, they don't need tools, and I don't either, but I like the tools because they make it so much easier. So I tell the tool and I tell the consciousness to go in and neutralize the vibrational rate of the virus within the pancreas. And at the speed of light, it just vanishes. It's gone. It's completely gone. So now the body can start to heal itself, just as when you get a cold, the virus goes away, you feel better. So that's the basis of it. Just being able to know how to use it, knowing that it exists, and knowing that when you tell it to do something, it is going to do it.
Great. Dino, do you have any questions that you would like to mention or ask Chris?
I scratched my ass the other day. This is all over my head, what's going on here. I didn't finish my medical degree, but it sounds really important, really interesting. I'm just kidding around, Chris. I think what you're doing is very important. And I wish there was more people like you doing alternative medicines. And, like I talked about cancer before, I think alternative medicine is really the way to go with cancer, healing with vitamins and other ways. Don't you think, Chris?
Yeah, 100%. Having said that, there are still a lot of people out there who are doing the natural thing, but they're still taking advantage of people. And I call these people charlatans. They'll make you or have you sign up under a multi-level marketing scheme. They'll take thousands of dollars from you on a daily basis and tell you they're going to do something, when in all reality, they're just giving you some pills that might do it or might not do it. The work that I'm doing and the work that a lot of other practitioners are doing, when you're working with the energy and spiritual component, I'm connected directly to the heavenly beings. I'm working directly with Christ and God and everything involved in that aspect. And my rates reflect that. I only charge $55 a session, where other people will charge $2,400 a session for this type of work. So my intent is to completely heal your body of whatever it is that's causing the problem, and take as little money from you as possible and do it as quickly as possible so you can enjoy your life. Holistic, yes, but you got to watch who is doing that holistic programming.
That's interesting. Are there any clues that somebody should say? What would be the earmark of somebody who you would say would be a quack?
I would say somebody who wants to take a lot of your money. You have to research people and just have a good feeling. I always tell people, if you're going to access somebody who does holistic stuff or alternative stuff, think with your heart. Does this person feel good to you? Shake their hand, look in their eyes, talk with them for a little bit, and find out what their track record is like. Are you going to be walking out of their office with $300 worth of pills every time you go there and not really get much benefit from it? So just do the research on somebody, but ultimately think with your heart, not with your mind. When you think heart-mind instead of mind-heart, you're going to feel that this person is right for you. That's what I tell everybody.
Well, that's good to know, because when you're sick, and there's, and especially when if you've gotten a sentence that's terminal, or you've been working on treating yourself, you don't know what's wrong with you. A person is desperate to get healed, and sometimes people do get taken advantage of, and a lot of people don't necessarily even believe in any of this. They're so, Western medicine. I know what it's like to speak about an alternative method and face the brain conditioning, the propaganda surrounding it of why it won't work. And all of us has a story about how somebody said, "Hey, here's the medicine," but because of what they've always been taught what that medicine is, they've just allowed themselves to die basically without even trying it.
Right. Yeah, my first wife, we some people had approached her and said, "Well, have you tried anything alternative?" And she was like, "I'm not going to try any of that tomfoolery. The doctors know what they're doing." And well, look where it got her. But a lot of people just are not open-minded, and that's what I find that a lot. I've got lots of friends, close friends, who have got some severe health problems. They will not come see me. I keep telling them, look, just come on by for a live blood analysis at least. No, the doctors are taking care of me. I'm taking all these pills and they're going to help. Well, look at them. They're getting worse. But if you're not open-minded, if you're not awakened, let's use the word awakened. If you're not awakened to the fact that alternatives and you doing this type of work is beneficial, then you're not. It's not for you, and that's simple as it is. And I don't judge anybody for that. It's just that you're not awakened to it. You're not conscious of it.
Well, one time I met somebody. I was at a party. One time, not just one time. I've gone to several parties, but there was a man, and we caught each other's. For some reason, we thought we knew each other. And we were trying to go through where we might be connected, with association of people in this party or whatever. And no, and I said, so what do you do? And he says, I heal with light and sound. And it was the first time I heard of something like that. I was like, oh wow, healing with light and sound. But that would make that would make sense to me now that I know more knowledge about what sound does. And that sound could possibly, move objects, stones. We don't know what the capacity of what sound can do. And then you find out about the 432 hertz and all the different hertz frequencies that we vibrate at, and I feel that there's a lot more out there that we don't really don't understand, and perhaps this knowledge has been suppressed on purpose.
Oh, of course it has been. I also work with radionics, which is working with frequencies. Now, when you talk about healing with sound and light, everything, let me describe it, how it works. Everything within our body has a vibration. So the liver has its own vibration. The pancreas has its own vibration. Now, when you take other vibrations like the vibration of virus or bacteria or parasites or whatever, and you find that vibration within the liver, when you use that same vibration to neutralize the vibration, it doesn't exist anymore. You're removing the harmonic vibration of whatever's in the body. And that's, in reality, what we're doing with the tools, with the intent, is just knocking out vibrations. An opera singer sings out of frequency and shatters a wine glass. Her voice is vibrating so much that it just obliterates it. And that's kind of basically what we're doing here. That's kind of the best way to describe it. So, I always like to describe things so people can visualize it and get their head around what's going on here. How do you hold a pyramid over somebody's head, tell their pain to go away, and all of a sudden the pain you've had for 15 years is immediately gone? It's mind-blowing at the least. So to try and describe it is always a beneficial thing to do.
Absolutely. And, we're going to get an opportunity today in the second half hour to do a healing, which I'm excited about.
Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my large pyramid, and you can see this on my website. It's called the Silverlight Pyramid. It's 5 tiers. It's got crystals in it and all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm going to hold it up to the microphone, and I'm going to run some specific energy. And whoever is listening to this show, even if it's a podcast, you're going to feel the energy. You're going to feel a tingling in your hands. You might feel a pulsing in your body. And what this is going to do is just go in and do whatever healing it needs to do on certain levels. Of course, it's not going to work for everybody. Not everybody's going to all of a sudden get out of their wheelchair and start walking. But it's going to give everybody a taste or an example of exactly what goes on in this crazy little office of mine.
Oh, I really can't wait to do this, and it's going to be quite a treat. Are you up for this, Dino? Where did he go?
Yeah, I'm here. I got the microphone off again for the farting. I'm sorry. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm really.
I can cure that farting.
Yeah,
it's the vibration. I'm trying to get rid of the cancer cells. I think it's really interesting and important what you're saying about harmonics and vibration, and it reminds me of an old quote by Carlos Santana. He said, "A great song reaches out and touches you, physically changing your soul forever." I think there absolutely is healing, and you feel completely different when a great song goes through your body. Don't you think, Chris?
Absolutely. It's all vibration. It's all frequency. I was a DJ for the longest time. I'm in a band. I know music quite well. When my now wife was pregnant with our two kids, we played specific music around them to get a good vibration going on within the womb, so that they came out smiling and happy.
Oh, lovely. That's lovely. We'll be back with more Freedom of Joyce, and we're going to have a healing session. I'm so excited. Stay tuned.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
I'm sorry. I had to laugh for a minute.
Dino thinks I'm sexy.
Right? Dino, we're communicating in the chat, and Dina goes, "You're very sexy," and Chris goes, "Thank you." That's what's happening during the commercial breaks.
I think you look very good too, Chris. But
I bet you say that to all the boys.
I do, but it doesn't get me anywhere. Like Rodney Dangerfield said, I'd go bisexual if it'll double my chances for a date on Friday.
So we've only got about 20 minutes left of the show, so let's get our healing on. Let's do that.
Now, I'm going to run some energy, and everybody's going to be able to feel this. So if you're listening on the computer, if you're on a podcast, you're listening, just kind of put your hands on the computer, and you're going to feel tingling within your fingers. You might feel pulsing in your body. Before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about health problems in general. Dino, you mentioned that you've got diabetes. There's lots of people who've got asthma, diabetes, fibromyalgia, XYZ, all these different forms of a health problem. You have to keep in mind that all these words that are being used are just a badge that the medical community gives you to wear to say your symptoms say you have this. And then all of a sudden that energy now is in your body, and now you think you're never going to get rid of it. So what I do with my pendulum and my charts and my guides is I find out exactly within a 99% accuracy rate, what is your diabetes? What is your asthma? It can be anything from a parasite, a bacterial infection, a virus, a spiritual attachment. It could be minerals built up in your body. If you've got sore muscles all the time, it could be calcium built up. It could be sodium built up. It could be iron. All these different things are part of the makeup of what a health problem is. So I'm able to specify exactly what area of the body to work on and what the problem is, and then use the energy to move it out. So in all reality, cancer is the scariest word in the world, but it's just an illness. So if we think that once we got cancer, it's a death sentence, then then of course that's what it's going to be. But if you can get past all of this scary stuff and deal with it what it really is, I find most cancers are mold. Something mutating within the cells of your DNA, you get rid of the mold and the mold source, and then things can get better. In a lot of instances, there could be, a big spiritual attachment involved with it that needs to be moved out. But ultimately, anything can be worked with. Do I have a cure for cancer? No. Can I help you get rid of yours? Yes. That's the way I look at it. So let's get started. I'm going to take my big funky pyramid here, my big darling lovely pyramid, and I'm going to hold it up to the microphone, and I'm going to give it some intent. So the intent is going to be to use a specific energy, and I call this the flame of the SWEF. Now, what I'm going to do first is, anybody who's listening, get your hands on the keyboard. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open the second chakra within the body. And within a couple seconds, you're going to feel a tingling. You might feel a pulsing. So let's open the second chakra within everybody's body. It's going to take a second to do that. Let me know, Tere, if you feel something going on. Okay, second chakras are now open. All right. Now, everybody's got always some kind of pain or ache in their body.
I do feel a little something going around the second chakra area.
Yeah. You're going to feel it. It's not going to be mind-blowing, but you're going to feel something happening. Now, we're going to take the flame of the SWEF, and we're going to neutralize, remove, and eliminate all calcium and sodium buildup within the entire muscular system, including tendons and ligaments. So now I'm running energy and intent. The important thing here is intent. That I intend for the quantum energy within all of us to remove, dissolve, and neutralize all of the calcium and sodium buildup within the muscular system. So this is going to take a minute because there's a lot of people listening. Give it a second. Okay, so that is finished. So what is going to happen? You're not all of a sudden going to be jumping out of your wheelchair and all of a sudden be walking around. Might take a day or two for things to start settling down, but you might feel immediately that your muscles are a little looser, a little bit of pain is gone, a little bit of stiffness is gone. So that's basically how things work within this office. Now, ultimately, universal law says if you identify something and you use the quantum energy to remove it, you have to identify it completely. So that's why it's so important for me to use my pendulum and the set of charts that I've developed to find exactly what the problem is. Now, with spiritual attachments, they have consciousness, of course. They can disguise themselves and they can hide. So sometimes you have to hunt them down and you have to remove the clothing that they're wearing so you can actually see what they are. That's why it's so important to be specific with what you want to intend to remove. If you just say remove heavy metals from the muscular system, it's not going to work very well. You have to identify what heavy metal is it. Is it calcium? Is it iron? Is it sodium? And so on. So that's why I always specify that we need to spend time dowsing and delve into the problem and find out exactly what it is.
Wow, that's really that's wonderful. I do feel a lot more relaxed right now, and I will admit that I just kind of went, I don't know if you can even hear it in my voice. It's kind of like
you sound like you could use a vodka.
I feel like things are pretty intense for me right now. I've got a lot of a lot of things are happening, and I have a lot of obligations to a lot of different things right now, and super busy. Sometimes it feels like I'm not even moving. It probably looks like I'm just stuck in front of my computer all the time, but I'm actually doing something. So it's nice to be able. I do need a vodka, but vodka doesn't really work for me that great.
No.
Yeah, I'm more of a wine drinker, I think. For some reason, I've gotten kind of hung over on vodka with very little of it. Weird.
Now there is a way around that. Now there's a specific ring that I carry. It's a neutralization ring.
Uh-huh.
And what we're going to do another one. We're going to do another healing. If you're at your computer, if you could stand up. If you can stand up, Tere, you've got a headset on, I'm sure.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take this neutralization ring and hold it over the microphone. And I want you to tell me when you feel a heaviness, or if you feel off balance or tingling in your fingers.
Okay.
This is going to start to remove negative energies out of your body. It's going to take a second.
Wow, I feel it.
You feel that, eh?
Yeah.
Now, what this is doing, it's clearing out the chakra system, your body, and your aura of just general negativity, and that's negativity you pick up on a daily basis from driving your car in traffic and watching the news and stuff like that. Now, what this ring will do is, if you like to have a drink now and then, but you don't like the hangover, is you put your drink on top of this little ring, which costs about $55, and it's going to restructure the drink a little bit so that you're not going to have that big fuzzy feeling in the morning. And this ring will work on your food. It'll work on anything whatsoever that can contain negative energies. So there, we're finished with that. So you definitely felt, you can have a seat now, you definitely felt something happening within your body when we did that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Where can I get this ring at? What's the name of it?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I do sell them on my website. You can order them. I have many different types of tools. I've got pyramids. I've got different types of rings, different things that I sell on my website. I sell shungite and various things that a lot of people are looking for. And they're relatively inexpensive, and gosh darn it, they do work. When you do buy one of these tools, of course, I'm going to walk you through how to use it and make sure that you do it right and it works for you. So feel free and check them out, chriskehler.net.
I'm actually looking at your site right now. And interesting that you mentioned that. I had it pulled up right to that page. And I'm seeing now, is the ring that you worked on me, is that the crystalline sun ring or the neutralization ring?
That was a neutralization ring.
Okay, all right.
Now, the neutralization ring pulls out negative energies. The sun ring adds positive energies. So the sun ring, you can actually, let's say if you want to write down an intent, like remove the hangover. You write that down on a piece of paper, your intent to remove the hangover. You put that within the ring. You put 2 of your fingers from your left hand in the ring, and it will remove the hangover. It's going to take your intent at the quantum level, and it's going to do that.
Wow. I love this. I'm fascinated with water, and of course, the studies that are going on about how your thought crystallizes the molecules into a shape, and that water is a living, breathing. It's not breathing, but I mean it's got life to it. It's always had life in it, and that you can direct energy, positive energy into it before you take it into your body.
That's right. Dr. Emoto did a lot of research on freezing water crystals and looking at them under a microscope. And he would write the word "you fool" on a glass of water, and on from a glass from the same water source, he would write "love." And then he would let those sit for a couple days, and then he would take both glasses of water and freeze a drop from each one, and then you look at the crystal underneath a microscope, and the one that said "you fool," which is a very bad thing in Japanese, looked ugly. The one that he wrote "love" on looked beautiful. So the vibration of the intent that he put into that water made a difference. Now, I also sell the shungite water stones, which the shungite is a new form of healing crystal from Russia that you can actually give intent to it. So when you drink the water, you look at the glass and you give it intent. You tell it, please vitalize my brain, detoxify my liver. And as you drink the water on a daily basis, it's going to do that, because now you're giving structured intent to that water. It's going to do it at the quantum level.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, who knew that? I mean, and I do think that it's this simple. Who knew that it could be this simple?
It is. If I can do it, I have zero medical background. I'll say it. I got zero medical background, and I am blowing doctors out of the water. I have doctors coming to see me, asking me how I'm doing this, and they want part of it.
Gosh, that's unbelievable. I really like the shungite water stones. I might actually go to your site and get a few things. I'm noticing that you have the triple pyramid with sun ring.
Yes.
What is it about the pyramid that has? Why is that geometry affecting the body?
Well, if you look at the pyramid is all based on pi. If you look at the pyramids of Egypt, it's all an energy source. It's a conductor of energy and consciousness. The pyramid itself will emit negative ions, which are good ions for your body. And generally, we pull these ions up through the ground. If you walk barefoot or if you wear leather-soled shoes, you're going to be pulling on these negative ions. But because we all wear rubber-soled shoes nowadays, our bodies are grounded from the earth, so we can't absorb these negative ions. So the negative ion component that the pyramids give off add to the whole aspect of things. If you take a pyramid and you add 3 pyramids in a certain sequence, if you look at the base of the pyramid, you see a sacred geometry of the Star of David. All these different symbols that we have in society, they all contain a specific energy. Some is dark, some is good. The Star of David is a healing energy. So when you put that into the mix and then you give it intent, it's going to go in at much deeper levels. So what I do is I take a sun ring and I mount it within the triple pyramid. Now it even brings it to a bigger level. So anybody at all can take these pyramids, give them good intent, and they're going to work. I've sold many of them, and everybody who uses them, all they rave about is the results that they get with them.
Now, there's one more thing that these 2 hours went by so fast, and I do want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm glad that you got to be on this particular show on Revolution Radio. And when you were on the Hollywood Hempress Hour show, I wasn't even on Revolution Radio yet, so here we are. I'd been on Revolution Radio as a guest. Because I also have been on Bernard's show, and I was on I've done Roxy's show, and then also Stephen Keller's show, so or Stephen D. Kelly's show. I don't know why.
Yes.
So but and I'm actually Stephen D. Kelly's going to be the guest on Hollywood. I'm not on Freedom of Joyce next week, which I'm really excited to bring him on. He's talking about some, and I'm just going to throw it out there to the listener. He's been talking about some stuff about underground hollow earth and underground Nazi bases, and I've listened to his show on it a couple times, and I'm very fascinated by what he's talking about. So he's going to be a guest next week. But I'm looking at your Quantum Point Technologies energy bracelets.
Yes.
Now, magnets are becoming quite, like you mentioned magnets earlier. I've also been listening to, which is kind of controversial, but there's anyway, I won't go into that right now. I'm interested in finding about your magnets.
The bracelets that I use, they have energy centers within them. There's magnets, there's a hematite, there's a few different infrared spots. But what I do with the bracelets is I take my tools and I give intent into the bracelet, and it holds that intent. So if you have trouble sleeping, I have one for sleep. You wear it, you sleep like a baby. I have one for anxiety. It helps to remove anxiety. So when you wear it, you're not as anxious anymore. So I make bracelets almost as an alternative to what I'm doing. So if you come in my office, we do a treatment, and I can give you a bracelet to keep that treatment going until your next visit. I do carry bracelets for a lot of different things, for energy, for sleeping, for balancing female hormones is a cool one. My wife loves that one, I tell you.
Really?
Oh, yes. It works incredible. But ultimately, if your hormones need to be balanced, why don't we just fix the problem, and then you don't need the bracelet? The bracelet's really good if you can't facilitate a healing session. You can just use a bracelet. But ultimately, let's fix the areas in the body that need to be raised up in energy and get rid of the problem.
Okay, that's so it's kind of that's interesting. So you do the work, and the bracelet just pretty much holds it in place, sort of like a cosmic ace bandage.
Sure, sure.
Huh? That's interesting. So again, can we get your website?
Yes, the website is chriskehler.net. My YouTube channel is YouTube/Chris Kehler. I've got over 100 videos. All of my radio interviews are on there. And I've got lots of small, short little snippets of different videos where you can get a feel for the work I'm doing. You can hear some of my philosophies, and there's some demonstrations on how the work is done. Ultimately, that's the only way you can really learn how it's done is to see it. So that and my email address, if you want to contact me today, I will get back to you today. CKEH KELLER100 at shaw.ca. My website is on, my email is on my website. My office line is on my website. Please contact me.
Yeah, I'm also, I'm looking at, your services. I see that you do, of course you have the distance healing, crystalline energy tools. Ideal protein, that's interesting, and you can lose 3 to 5 pounds per week with Ideal protein.
Yeah. I carry a weight loss product called Ideal Protein. Lots of people come to my office and they're like, well, can you do something for weight loss? And of course I can get your thyroid working properly to make sure your metabolism is up, but ultimately some people do need assistance dietary-wise to help lose weight, and this is a good way to do it.
Huh. That's because I'm always everybody wants to lose that 3 to 5 pounds that
Sure.
they feel that they might have gotten over the weekend or whatever.
Exactly. Now it's important to know that this work that I'm doing, it can be done over the phone. It can be done over Skype. 99% of all my clients are in different cities and different countries all around the world. I have clients in Kuwait. I have clients in Lebanon. I have clients in Australia, Germany, many clients in the States, because ultimately it's a lot cheaper to do it this way than it is to go into the hospital and spend thousands of dollars. So this work is very, very valuable and viable done over the phone and over Skype.
Great. And Dino Dad 32 is still with us. Dino, do you have any final questions for Chris Kehler?
Well, I do talk to my pancreas all the time, and it's true. And I say, please create more insulin. But, putting down the chili cheese fries, that would help also. But honestly, I talk to my body and say, come on, heal yourself. Come on, you could do this. Just as I think, different foods and good foods and vitamins will heal your body. I do talk to my body, and I know it's my pancreas. I visualize my pancreas. It's crazy. And I say, come on, man, you could heal yourself. You could do it. I believe in you.
Tell your pancreas to detoxify itself. Intent. Intent is key. You have to have the right intent.
You think that's what it is? It's, some chemicals I've gotten into my pancreas. I mean, people are really fat these days, and the chemicals that are in the food with all the hormones are making people so sick. I mean, we're a nation of fat people.
That's right. Cut the carbohydrates out of your diet for a week and see what happens.
Well, you know what, guys? That's the end of our show. I really want to thank Chris Kehler for coming on the show. Dino Dad 32, where can we find you again really quick?
Again, at dinodad32.com. That's D-I-N-O, Dad, D-I-N-O-D-A-D, Dad32.com.
And I'm Tere Joyce, freedomofjoyce.net. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.